The day Rowan Mercer agreed to pretend to be a stranger's date for an entire weekend, he thought he was simply doing a small favor for a woman who looked like she needed one. He had no idea that by Sunday afternoon, his ordinary life would be turned upside down, his deepest wounds would begin to heal, and the woman sitting beside him would reveal a secret worth millions. Most of all, Rowan never imagined that the woman who hired him to be her date would become the person who finally saw the exhausted father behind his brave smile. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change a person's life and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Act of Kindness. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories like this to you. Rowan was 36, a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter, Mira, in a modest neighborhood where every dollar had a purpose. He worked weekdays repairing and restoring old houses, and on weekends he accepted small painting jobs just to keep up with rent, school expenses, groceries, and the growing list of things children somehow needed every month. His hands were rough from years of work, his clothes often carried traces of paint, and the tiredness beneath his eyes never completely disappeared. But whenever Mira ran toward him after school, Rowan forgot about the bills for a few precious minutes. She was the reason he kept going after losing his wife 3 years earlier. He had promised himself that grief would never become an excuse to let his daughter feel unloved. One bright Saturday morning, Rowan was repairing the porch of a large historic house when a woman approached him. Her name was Sienna, though Rowan would not learn much about her at first. She was 34, elegant without appearing arrogant, dressed simply in a cream blouse, dark trousers, and comfortable shoes. She explained that she had a family gathering that weekend and desperately needed someone to accompany her. Her original date had cancelled at the last moment, and she was tired of relatives judging every decision she made. She offered Rowan a generous amount of money simply to spend the weekend with her, attend a few events, and pretend they were together. Rowan almost laughed at the strange request. He was a construction worker, not an actor. But then he remembered the overdue electricity bill folded inside his wallet and Myra's school shoes that were beginning to fall apart. Sienna promised there would be no deception beyond pretending to be a couple, no embarrassing demands, and no expectation of anything romantic. It would be one weekend. Rowan agreed. What surprised him was how little Sienna seemed to care about appearances once they were away from the crowds. During the daytime family luncheon, she noticed Rowan quietly cutting Myra's sandwich into smaller pieces when his daughter joined them. Instead of being embarrassed by his simple clothes, Sienna smiled at the little girl and asked about her drawings. Mira immediately trusted her. By the end of lunch, she was showing Sienna a notebook filled with pictures of houses, trees, and imaginary families. Rowan watched them together and felt something unfamiliar in his chest, something dangerously close to happiness. The weekend became stranger when Sienna took Rowan and Mira to a beautiful countryside estate. Rowan assumed it belonged to one of her relatives, but the staff greeted Sienna with unusual respect. She brushed it off whenever he asked. During the afternoon, they walked through gardens, ate lunch beneath a wide white canopy, and watched Mira chase butterflies across the grass. For the first time in years, Rowan laughed without forcing it. Sienna noticed. She also noticed how Rowan constantly checked his phone for work messages, worried that taking one weekend off would cost him a job. That evening, while Mira slept upstairs, Sienna finally asked Rowan why he seemed so afraid of receiving anything from anyone. Rowan admitted that after his wife died, people had offered sympathy for a few weeks and then disappeared. He had learned that depending on others could leave a person even more alone. He had spent 3 years convincing himself that needing help was weakness. Sienna listened quietly because she understood that feeling better than he knew. The next morning, Rowan discovered the truth. A large newspaper was lying on the breakfast table, and on its front page was a photograph of Sienna. Beneath it was a headline describing her as the founder and CEO of one of the fastest-growing technology companies in the country, with a personal fortune estimated in the hundreds of millions. Rowan stared at the photograph, then at Sienna, unable to understand why a woman with everything had asked an ordinary single father to be her date. Suddenly, the weekend felt different. But Sienna did not defend herself. Instead, she explained that money had made people approach her constantly, but it had also made it nearly impossible to know whether anyone genuinely cared about her. Every relationship eventually became a negotiation. She had watched people change the moment they discovered her wealth. So when she met Rowan repairing a porch while patiently helping his daughter with homework, she saw something she had not seen in years, a man who still gave his best even when life had given him very little. Then she revealed the real reason she had chosen him. Her father had spent his final years believing that wealth could protect a person from loneliness. Sienna had inherited his company, but she had never learned how to build a life outside it. She had not hired Rowan because she needed someone impressive. She had chosen him because he reminded her that being rich meant nothing if a person had nobody genuine beside them. Rowan expected the story to end there, with a generous payment and a goodbye. Instead, Sienna offered something completely different. She had discovered that Rowan's small repair business was struggling because he lacked the equipment to take larger contracts. She offered to invest, not as charity, but as a business partnership. Rowan hesitated because he feared losing his independence. Sienna told him that accepting an opportunity did not mean surrendering his dignity. Months later, Rowan's little repair company had grown. He hired 2 other fathers who were struggling to find steady work, giving them the same opportunity he had once been given. Mira had new school shoes, but more importantly, she had a father who no longer looked constantly exhausted. And Sienna changed too. She began spending weekends away from boardrooms and business meetings. She visited Rowan and Mira, helped with community projects, and slowly learned that love did not have to come with a contract. One sunny afternoon, Rowan stood outside the first house his company had restored completely. Mira was drawing with chalk on the sidewalk while Sienna watched her proudly. Rowan realized that the weekend he had agreed to pretend to be someone's date had given him something far more valuable than money. It had reminded him that life could still surprise him after heartbreak. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes that kindness can create new beginnings, and subscribe to Act of Kindness so these stories can reach more people. And before the story ends, leave a special comment saying, "Kindness can change a life." Your comment may be the small reminder someone else needs today. Rowan once believed he had to carry every burden alone. Sienna once believed that money could never buy genuine connection. They were both wrong. Sometimes the greatest gifts in life do not arrive wrapped in expensive paper. Sometimes they arrive as a simple favor, a second chance, a child's smile, or a stranger who chooses to see the person behind the struggle. And sometimes, the weekend you agree to pretend can become the beginning of something real.